Hey everyone, quick word before we begin today's episode. I announced over the weekend that Seacoast Stories Live, it is happening one more time this year, and it's going down Friday, December 5th, 7:30 p.m. in downtown Portsmouth at 3S Art Space. Many of you have requested that we do a live show at this venue. You ask, you shall receive. It's going to be a very special night full of conversation, community, connection, everything that you know and love about Seacoast Stories. Again, it's happening on Friday the 5th. I will be interviewing 3 people. First up is Dagan. I don't know how to say his last name. I will find out in due time. Dagan, the co-founder of the beloved brewery Liar's Bench in here, the West End of Portsmouth. Very excited for Dagan to make his Seacoast Stories debut. Second up on the night, returning to the show, a beloved, very popular Season 2 guest, musician and marketing strategist, Laura Fox. Laura has designed websites for some of the biggest Seacoast brands, and she's going to bring out her guitar to play some special songs for us and to have a little back and forth after that. And then in our headlining event, you know her, you love her. She is one of the leading voices across the entire industry of women's wellness. She's the host of the very popular Functional Nutrition podcast, and she is the functional nutritionist. It is the one and only Erin Holt. She will join for an amazing conversation about entrepreneurship, about wellness. She'll debunk all the myths that your social media feed is filled with and a whole lot more. This will be an incredible night, capping off what has been an outstanding year for Seacoast Stories. Such a big year of growth, and so many amazing things have happened this year for me, and I can't wait to reflect on the year that has been. Again, Friday, December 5th. If you would like to join, if you would like to be a part of this third and final live podcast of the year, you can get your ticket link in the show notes. Thank you so much. I really hope to see you then. Now on to today's episode. Welcome to Seacoast Stories, a podcast about the people, businesses, and newsmakers that make the Seacoast an American hidden gem. I'm Trey Farkas, and on today's episode, my conversation with 2 of the most popular people in Portsmouth. Well, at least for this week. It's Jonathan Day and Amanda Giles from the Portsmouth Halloween Parade Planning Board, or as they lovingly refer to it, the Coven. The Portsmouth Halloween Parade is a big deal. Each year, it attracts thousands of fanatics from not only across the Seacoast, but also the entire country. In 2023, even USA Today ranked it within the top 10 best Halloween parades in America. Now, what makes it so glamorous, you ask? To be honest, I couldn't tell you from any personal experience. This year marks my 3rd parade, but in 2023, I was very sick, and last year I spent a total of 10 minutes there, so I am a novice. But on today's episode, I enlist the help of 2 Portsmouth Halloween Parade experts to help me better understand what makes this parade one of the Seacoast's top attractions. We'll discuss the Coven's big plans for this year, the 30th annual parade. Plus, why literally anybody can walk in the parade, the rising costs of the parade, and how the Coven creatively raised funds to combat it this year, all without the help of corporate sponsorship. Speaking of which, today's episode is sponsored by Holistic and Hormonal, as well as investment advisor David Higgins. And as we often do, we begin today's show with a history lesson by traveling back 30 years to the very first Halloween parade.
Lore has it, because actually I was not involved in the first one, but there was a group of people in Portsmouth, artists, ne'er-do-wells, they decided, hey, let's have a Halloween parade. And it was a very humble march back in October of 1995. They did have a police escort. Dino, who had a studio in the Button Factory, and I could try to say his last name, but it's Greek, and I'll probably do dishonor to his people. So we'll just say Dino. That is enough around town. Started the parade, not alone, but he was a driving force. And fun fact, the Jumbo Circus Peanuts, some of their members had studios in the Button Factory as well. So they actually formed for the first Portsmouth Halloween parade. So there was a little music, a little mayhem, a very short route. You can watch the video on YouTube. It's very grainy, but somebody actually photographed it, which is pretty amazing for us to have that.
And we're not great at record keeping, but the reason we know it was 1995 is because Dino had a VHS recording of it that was labeled Halloween Parade 1995.
Well, I'd like to think we would remember otherwise. But obviously at that point, nobody knew how big it was going to be.
How big was this one? How many people attended? People involved? Any idea?
So I don't know that there was much promotion done in advance. So I don't think there were spectators. I want to say there were probably, based on the YouTube video, 15 to 30 marchers. Ragtag group of like local musicians and artists and kind of punk rock origins. I think at the very last minute they decided, let's ask for permission. So they did get a police cruiser so nobody got, run over in the street. It was raining. And thus was born the Halloween Parade.
What do we know about the evolution of it? When did it really start to pick up momentum?
Well, it gained steam and popularity to the point where by the 9th parade, they decided to announce a grand marshal to lead the festivities. And our very first grand marshal in 2003 was Bruce Pingree, who is known as
hold on. I have to stop. Who is this guy?
Bruce Pingree.
Someone suggested to me, like, you need to talk to Bruce Pingree. And I said on social media, who's that? And then I've had many other people tell me
you probably got dragged for that.
Who is Bruce Pingree? I still don't know.
So he is a local institution. Pingree the Prowler is his nickname. He is one of the original founders of Beat Night, which is a monthly slam poetry night.
Undead Beat Night.
Well, I thought it was original Beat Night.
No, that's Larry Simon.
Oh, okay.
Gosh, do you know anything?
These youngins.
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
Bruce Pingree he's a presence around town. A lot of people know him because he used to do the booking at the press room, and so he was just a very omnipresent person there. But he is just a longtime supporter of the arts, community activist. I joked with him the other day because we see him a lot in October. And I joked, he's like Roy Kent. He's here, he's there, he's every fucking where.
He's like the wind.
He's not a man of many words, and the words that he shares. And he's also an actor. He was I believe his technical name is the quartermaster for the Seven Stages Shakespeare Company, which is in hiatus or gone to sleep, but was active on the Seacoast for many years. So yeah, he is a character. He has so many stories. If you are a historian, highly recommend talking to him.
And as soon as you meet him, you'll probably recognize him because he walks everywhere in town. And when you see him, you'll say, oh, I have seen you walking around town.
Okay. So he was important enough to be the first Grand Marshal.
First Grand Marshal, correct.
And what do the Grand Marshal duties entail?
The Grand Marshal duties entail leading the parade.
Being the first person walking, leading the route. Okay.
We have a couple rules surrounding the Grand Marshal, which were written by Trevor Bartlett, who helped.
Not written. I don't think we write anything.
Yeah, they were established by Mr. Trevor Bartlett, who is also a former Grand Marshal, and he was also. Prior to the development of the Coven, he was kind of the lead driving force for many years, making sure that the parade happened. And he developed these rules that no one can ask to be the Grand Marshal of the Halloween Parade. And if you are asked to be the Grand Marshal of the Halloween Parade, you cannot say no. So when he retired from organizing and running the parade,
carrying it on his shoulders.
Carrying it on his shoulders single-handedly, the newly formed Coven took his rules, used them against him, and made him the next Grand Marshal.
Yes, of the 20th parade.
The 20th parade, correct.
Well, my next question was going to be to ask you when I can be the Grand Marshal.
Yeah, well, don't ask that question if you ever want to be considered.
Aren't you lucky that we
going to ask that question?
We laid the rules out.
The first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club.
We had somebody who was very sneaky one year and managed to work around the rules by guessing that we were going to ask them and circumventing us. The only person I know of, we're not going to name names, obviously, because the Grand Marshal is one of our fun secrets, but he got wind based on the people who were wanting to talk to him. And he was like, oh, no, if this is about the sash, no.
Politely
so
declined.
Technically, still following the rules. They were not asked.
Okay, so in the 9th parade, Grand Marshal was established. Why did the early adopters of the parade want to make this an annual tradition?
I think the parade was gaining steam by then, and I think they really wanted to use it as a way to celebrate the creative spirit of Portsmouth and the kind of, and very specifically kind of like an anti-commercialization. Like I think that, Portsmouth was already clearly moving in a direction of becoming less of a sailor town,
right,
and more, a little more bougie. And the Portsmouth Halloween Parade at its core has always celebrated like the creative, scrappy spirit of Portsmouth. It's always had a strong artist community. And I think it was their way of saying like, all right, first of all, let's make the parade a little more official, a little more, I don't know, fancy, but also really just to honor that history and celebrate it and really find a way to emphasize that that's what the whole parade is celebrating.
And that is a key point that Amanda brought up, is that this is a grassroots movement every single year. There is no corporate sponsorship in the parade. It will never be the Portsmouth Halloween Parade presented by Costco, to use a non-local business. It will never be, there's no corporate or political solicitation allowed in the parade. So people are not allowed to hand out flyers for their businesses or, carry signs about running for school board or city council, things like that. We try to keep it very grassroots, rooted in the community. It's a parade put on for the people, by the people. Now, that being said, we could not possibly finance and pay for this parade without support from local businesses. So the way that we do that is at our various fundraising events throughout the season. Local businesses will either host events or they will make contributions to our raffle baskets that we then sell tickets for as a fundraiser. A lot of local businesses will do promotions during the month of October where perhaps $1 from every beer that is sold at a certain establishment goes towards the parade, or a specialty spooky cocktail and $1 from every sale goes to the parade.
Or a spooky cookie.
Or a spooky cookie, or a pumpkin smoothie, whatever it is, 'tis the season. A lot of businesses help in other ways outside of being like the flagship sponsor of the Halloween parade. And we try to give them as much love as we can through promotion of our events and promotion of them, being staunch supporters.
Now, everything you just laid out sounds like a whole lot of work, a whole lot of coordination, when you easily, with one stroke of a pen, could get a check from Costco and you don't need to do any of that stuff. So why are you so committed to foregoing the corporate sponsorship route?
We are dedicated and we are caretakers of the original intent of the parade, which was to highlight the artists and the gig workers and the musicians and the creativity that is at the heart of the spirit of Portsmouth. And as soon as we slap a corporate sponsorship on it, it becomes just like any other parade. And we're not casting shade at the Macy's Day Parade, but we do not want to be the Macy's Day Parade. We do not want all the corporate shenanigans that come with something like that.
Yeah. And what's interesting is to that no corporate and no political solicitation, as Jonathan said, there are still ways that corporations help us, that businesses help us by donating prizes. And we even have a little bit of the Smash is one of our favorite events. It's a pumpkin smash, and we let people smash pumpkins. And the insurance company recently decided, that seems kind of dangerous. And so the costs skyrocketed for this event that we've had for years. And so in that case, we've actually started accepting sponsorship just for that event to help offset the insurance, but it'll never be for the parade. And then you mentioned the political piece, and I'd love to expound on that a little bit, because sometimes people read that and they assume that we don't want any politics in the parade. And likewise, sometimes people see something in the parade that's political and they're like, you said you didn't do politics. And we said, no, we just don't do political solicitation. So like Johnny said, you can't carry your city council campaign sign into the parade. However, you can have a costume or something that makes a political statement. Every year we have a few handmaids that march in the parade, and leftist marching band often does a political statement. Last year, our Grand Marshal was up at the front of the parade with a whole swarm of bees. And because he's very concerned about the bees and he wanted to highlight that. So yes, that's a political statement, but it's not political solicitation.
Mm. And why are the political statements allowed?
Well, that's freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Yeah. We political lampooning, satire, all of that stuff. Both sides of the aisle is more than welcome. What we don't want is people handing out, vote for me cards and soliciting through the parade, if that makes sense.
Okay. And so I want to talk more about the inner workings of the parade in a bit, but let's get back to the evolution of the parade. So when does it really start becoming an attraction for that people outside of the Seacoast want to start coming to?
Gosh,
I don't know. I mean, I marched in my first parade in 2001. 2000? No, probably earlier than that. Definitely 99. And it already seemed like a big thing then, but I think that's because my husband knew a lot of people at the button factory, but it seemed like a huge thing even then.
This is just an opinion and this is not based on any data or research, but there's a group who has been in the parade for about 20 years now that I would like to throw some credit to for at least some of the nationwide attention that we've got. And they're kind of like the Santa Claus of the Halloween parade, and that is Portsmouth Thriller. And that was started probably around 2008, 2009. It started out as a flash mob. It was like a zombie horde marching through the parade, which people thought was cool. Okay, good big collection of zombies. And then in Market Square, they just stopped and they did Thriller. And somebody was recording, somebody put it on YouTube, and it kind of like went viral, and then it became a thing. And they kept coming back. And my first 6 parades were through involvement in Portsmouth Thriller. I danced in Thriller for 2 parades, and then I took over the organization of Thriller for the following 4 parades. And in my experience, at the end of the parade, I'd have people coming up to me that said, I flew all the way from Texas just to see you guys. Or like, I missed you guys perform in the parade because I was driving up from Connecticut. Can you guys do it one more time right now? Like, even though the parade's over. So I know that's a huge draw. And then to throw some other credit out there, Monster Troop, run by the immaculate Holly Cook, a former Grand Marshal in her own right. She is responsible for the elaborate and beautiful and enormous puppets that you see in the parade every year. They're typically illuminated. They build those things all year round to debut on the night of the parade. She trained under the tutelage of like amazing costume and puppet designers in Greenwich Village, New York, who has one of the biggest Halloween parades in the country. So that brought a lot of visibility. Like those 2 groups, people come out to see what they're going to do in a given year.
Yeah. And Monster Troop has a lot of dancing too.
Yes.
Like they work hard on their choreography, just like Thriller. They are really, it looks like a professional troupe.
Wow. Amanda, when you hear comments like these people from Connecticut or people from Texas flying in just to see this little parade in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, what does that mean to you?
It means we've done good, to be included, especially when USA Today included us in their list of top 10 Halloween parades. We were like, yeah, because we are a small town with a big impact. And I also ship all the merch for the parade. And I can tell you, I send stuff to California, to Texas, to other places. And sometimes it's people who've left the area, but sometimes it's not. People who just maybe were in town once and loved the parade and keep tabs on what we're doing.
What is it about the parade that has the eyes of the nation so enthralled by what's happening here?
I think it's the creativity. One of our unofficial slogans is less plastic, more fantastic. So you don't see a lot of Spirit Halloween costumes in the Portsmouth Halloween parade. You see elaborate, professional, like movie quality costumes that people have spent all year working on.
And you see simpler homemade costumes too, to be clear. They're all welcome.
Correct. And that's, I think, and that's a great point as to like, why has it become such a draw, is it is so inclusive. Anyone can be in the parade. There is 0 barrier to entry into the parade. You do not have to register. You do not have to fill out a form. All you have to do is show up.
You don't have to be a person of significance.
Correct. Anybody can be in the parade, and a lot of people will watch the parade for 10 or 15 minutes and then decide to hop in and march for a little while and then hop back out and watch the rest of the parade. It is sort of just like a living, breathing organism. It is organized chaos, and it's just a celebration. And I think Halloween is special to people because it's one of those nights where you can be whatever you want to be. And it's largely, depending on your costume, it can be totally anonymous. You know, you could be a total wallflower most of the year. You could have social anxiety, but when you put on that costume, you're like, yeah, and now I'm in the parade. And it's just so welcoming. And I think that's what makes it special. And as soon as you start circling back to like corporate sponsorship and stuff, once you get into that realm, you start getting into like, all right, like now we have liability, now we have insurance concerns, and then we start having to register people in advance. Then we want to start, getting head counts and okay, you start here and you enter at this time and this is your slot. And that just detracts from the joyous, jubilant, like celebration of creativity and inclusivity that the parade is.
And for me, I feel like part of what's always been fascinating to me is that I feel like there's a little bit of magic in how the parade comes together. It's like, oh, is anybody going to come to, what's going to happen? When we wait at Pierce Island the night of the parade, I always have a sense of like, wow, are we really doing this? People really going to come march? And are we really going to get everybody into the parade in some kind of vaguely organized manner? But for me, it's just part of it's part of the magic to me that such a small group of people have always made this parade happen. And at this point, we are 6 on the Coven. But before that, it was more like 3 or 4. At times, it's been 1 person really carrying the parade. And it got a little big for that, as the parade got more expensive and as the reach of it grew, it just became more necessary to have, more hands on deck. And it's pretty special. But I'm also still sometimes amazed. And sometimes other people they're like, oh, how many people run the parade? There's 6 of us who run it, but we don't do it alone. We do it with a whole cadre of volunteers who we call minions, who, help sling merch and sell raffle tickets and show up and unload bins in and out of cars to make events happen, pick up pumpkins, solicit donations from businesses. So we don't do it alone, but I'm still amazed sometimes at the size of it, that there are basically 6 of us at the end of the day with our names on the line saying, yep, come hell or high water, we're going to have a parade.
It's a gigantic undertaking, Jonathan. Why do you do this?
It's my favorite thing about Portsmouth. I saw my first parade probably in the early 2000s, and I didn't even know what it was. I was a college student at UNH. I was like, oh, like it's Halloween. It's a bar night. Let's go to Portsmouth and have some drinks. And I was trying to park and the streets were closed. And I was like trying to find a place to get a drink. And I ran into this parade and I'm like, what? I was like, Jack Skellington, what's this? What's this? And the way I got roped into Thriller in 2013 is just kind of a funny story. I was in the now out of business t-shirt shop called I Like That, which was in the location where Cup of Joe currently is. And I was just trying to buy like a silly t-shirt because they would print whatever you wanted on a shirt. And the woman who was managing that at the time was deeply involved in Portsmouth Thriller. And she's, I think she thought I was gay because a lot of people do. And she was like, you should join Thriller because you seem like you're flamboyant enough to like to dance. And I was like, sure, I'll try anything once. And then I was like, oh, this is that thing. This is the Halloween parade. And I've just been hooked ever since. There was a moment when I was in Thriller where we were sort of shambling along as zombies. We had repurposed some old Portsmouth high school marching band uniforms and did a fundraiser to buy those from the school and contribute back to the school because they were just mothballed and in a closet somewhere. And we totally destroyed them and zombied them up and shredded them and covered them in blood. And we were coming down Market Street and just shambling along as zombies. And then that iconic like intro to Thriller began, and the roar of the crowd was so loud, bouncing off the buildings, that I could not hear the music. And I was just counting in my head, the steps to Thriller. And It's the closest I will ever feel to like being a professional athlete, like just like the roar of the crowd. And it was magical to me. I joke with the coven that they're stuck with me for life because I'll do this until I can't anymore.
That's when I tell people on the parade, you'd be surprised how many people have not heard of the parade who live locally. And I guess that's because we're not very corporate-y. But when I tell people and I tell them that anybody can march, I say, have you ever really lived if you haven't like walked into Market Square in the middle of the road to thousands of people cheering? Like, would you like that for yourself? It's like, you can have that. And I think that's, I think that's part of the magic of the parade as well. It's not just the creativity, but anybody can take part of this and do. And if nobody showed up, we wouldn't have a parade. So we literally depend on ordinary people wanting to come in and march and be the spectacle.
Right.
And be part of what is essentially a giant moving piece of art.
And why let anyone in? Because that could be a recipe for chaos, no?
It is. It is. I do remember one year somebody sent us a post-parade apology in the form of a cash donation because apparently they were somewhat obnoxious the night of the parade. And they felt bad about it. We do what we can. You open it up and you open yourself up to risk, but you open yourself up to magic.
I'll ask you in a moment why you're involved. But Jonathan, I want to get back to you because I heard you say on the Portsmouth Chambers podcast that you have had the opportunity to move away from this area a couple of times, and that it's the parade, the 1 day a year parade that keeps you here.
100% yes.
Coming up, why Jonathan refuses to leave Portsmouth despite fielding much better offers, plus the very creative ways that the Coven has funded the parade this year. That's in a moment, but first, ladies, listen up. The word on the street is that your hormones really matter. The problem is, it's difficult to detect when they're out of whack. It's like you know something is wrong, but you can't put your finger on it. And that just may be why you, or men, the woman in your life, could be experiencing issues like fertility struggles, mood swings, weight challenges, stress, and more. That's why it is so important to learn about functional medicine. And that's where Dr. Whitney Elsesser comes in. She specializes in hormone health, fertility, and functional medicine. And at Holistic and Hormonal, her virtual practice, she offers personalized programs which combine holistic lifestyle interventions with in-depth lab testing to get to the root of the issues, rather than just treat them with a pill and hope they go away. Whitney is passionate about helping women feel more confident and vibrant when it comes to their health. Some of her top virtual programs include the 5 to Thrive 5-month hormone reset program, the Conceive with Clarity program, as well as hormones and heartbeats. If you'd like to learn more about any of these programs or about how to better address hormone imbalance, then please visit holisticandhormonal.org, and in the contact box, just write the word hormones. And then Whitney will get in touch with you to set up a free lab test which can help you figure out what is going on. The website link is also in today's show notes. You've listened to enough podcasts by now. You know that I love to take a look at the full story, which you should also do when it comes to managing your money. But if you hate doing your finances on your own, like I do, luckily, the Seacoast has fine people to help you. And one person in particular has been a supporter of Seacoast Stories literally since day one. Portsmouth's own David Higgins. When you sit down with David, he'll help you create a detailed wealth planning strategy that takes into account your current financial situation, goals, and risk tolerance. He looks at every aspect of your life, and he helps in setting realistic goals and creating a roadmap to achievement. He offers services like investment advice and investment management, tax planning, estate planning, retirement planning, risk management, charitable giving, and education planning. David's approach encompasses not only financial aspects, but he also takes into consideration a person's overall well-being and life goals, because, that matters too. Now, I get what you think. You may think this sounds like every other financial advisor out there, but David is one of one. He spent more than 20 years in the business, and I've heard firsthand about his thorough, thoughtful, and holistic wealth management approach, which really sets him apart from the typical cookie-cutter model. To learn more about how David can help you, you can get in touch with him by contacting the email in the show notes. Thank you, David, and thank you, Dr. Whitney, for supporting the show. Now back to why Jonathan just can't get himself to leave the Seacoast?
I'm an Air Force reservist. I've been in the Air Force for 23 years, and oftentimes job opportunities present themselves that would require me to relocate, and they're very tempting. I've had opportunities to relocate to like Hawaii and Georgia and Florida, and actually interviewed for positions and been offered positions, and at the end of the day, I'm like, I cannot leave this place. And one of those top 3 reasons is the Halloween parade. I joke with my wife that if I ever had to relocate for the Air Force or for work, that we would just have to start a Halloween parade wherever we went. Like there might be a Savannah Halloween parade 10 years from now.
I mean, you have the experience.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. It's one of the things that anchors me here.
You wouldn't leave for Hawaii because of the parade?
Nope.
Wow. That's absurd.
That's a ringing endorsement. I feel like I should leave ourselves a Google review or something.
Amanda, you're a busy woman. This is an all year long planning thing. Why dedicate your time to this?
Because I have also been struck by the magic of the parade. I love the parade. I love what it represents. And I've always been an organizer. I've always been somebody who's good at those kinds of skills. And what happened is I was just a parade participant. I loved the parade. And then we started going to some of the fundraisers, particularly the rock show. And I remember realizing, oh, these are just people like me who are volunteering. Like I could volunteer. I could help this parade that I love. So I started volunteering and selling shirts. And I loved it because I love people who love Halloween. They're some of the best people out there. I have on my online dating profile in OkCupid, there is a question about something like, do you wear a costume for Halloween? And if people answer no, I'm just like, yep. Swipe left.
Hard pass.
No good. It doesn't, it doesn't have to be a big costume. It doesn't have to be every year. But if you're just not into wearing a costume at all on Halloween, you're not my people. And what I discovered when I started volunteering is like, oh, these are my people. They have the same dark sense of humor and appreciation of the macabre and the creativity. And I was like, oh, I can, as I like to say, use my powers for good. And so I was volunteering. And then at some point, somebody stepped off the board and they put out a call saying, hey, are people interested in being on the board? And I was like, wow, I've never been on a board of directors, but like, I love this thing. And I feel like I was a little hesitant, but I was like, I feel like I could do this. And somebody who was on the board was like, oh, I was hoping you were going to throw your hat in. And I was like, oh, that's, sometimes you don't realize what other people think of you. So I stepped in and like all of us, when I stepped onto the board, I was a little overwhelmed, and there were other people who kind of did a lot of the things, and it took a little while to find my footing of what I could help with. But yeah, we've added more people to the board, and it still continues to be amazing.
And I will brag on Amanda because she won't brag on herself, but her unofficial title is the mistress of merch. But that is really an acronym for mom, because she is really our team mom. She keeps us all on task. She keeps us all organized. She keeps us all on time. And this is her last parade.
No.
Her last parade on the Coven. She is retiring from the Coven after this year.
Wow.
And I want to take a moment to publicly thank her for everything she's done for us since joining the Coven. We joined the same year. So
we did.
This is a bittersweet parade for me this year.
I will not be disappearing.
Oh, yeah.
I will be doing something, but I just, mom needs a break. Mom needs a bubble bath, and maybe just to fold some t-shirts, but not nag anybody or wake up at 2 a.m. like, oh my God, did we pack the lunch? Do we have waivers? And that's not I want to be very clear that everybody on the Coven, they're just normal people doing their normal jobs, and we all just do the best that we can. But one of the other reasons that I really love working with these folks is we just look out for each other. It's like, oh, you just spent 3 days sick, and clearly you're not going to be doing this other thing. Like, oh, we'll step in and do that. And we just take care of each other. And we understand, we understand if something doesn't happen. We just know that we have to voice that and say, hey, I'm struggling. I can't do this thing right now. Who can pick this up? And somebody else will pick it up. And people often ask me like what our roles are. And I'm like, oh, it's so blurry. We don't have like standard board of director roles because we all will take ownership of different events and see them through. And we certainly play to our strengths, but we all jump in and do different things. Everybody's made a social media post at some point. Everybody's folded countless t-shirts and hoodies at some point. Everybody's worked the table. And it's one of the things when we look for new board people too, is like we look for somebody who's already kind of stepped in and knows our process. Sometimes people want to just be like, oh, I want to just jump on the board. And it's like, you come in as a volunteer, come see what we're about, come understand the big picture and get a sense of how we take care of each other and how we get it done. So.
Well, on behalf of the residents of the Seacoast, we would like to thank you for your years of service. I do see a wedding ring on your finger, so I take it that you found a man who was willing to wear a costume?
Let's just say I don't limit myself.
Okay.
It's 2025.
That's a whole nother podcast.
I messed up. Oh my God. I'm the worst. Okay, moving on. So you mentioned that it's a lot of work that goes into this. Take me into, so the parade this Friday. When does the work for this Friday start?
November 1st.
Really? The day after the previous parade?
We usually take a small break. It's kind of more
like January.
We take a small break.
January is more when we really get in, and February. Yeah. January is maybe more like we're talking about things, but February we're really starting to work.
And as far as like schedules and timelines, right? We apply to have the Halloween parade with the city probably in like March of a given year. It goes before the council. The council typically refers it to the city manager for action, and we have a logistics meeting. With
Again, underscoring the point here that this is a grassroots thing. The town is not involved.
So the town is very involved. The town does not...
They don't throw it. It's not their event.
Correct. So we reimburse the town for the costs that are incurred by the parade. So the city is an amazing partner and they support us, and we love our partners at the city. We literally could not have a parade without the cooperation of the city. And we pay our part, right? So we have a police detail. We have motorcycles at the front of the parade. We have squad cars at the back of the parade. They have drones flying over the parade route. The Department of Public Works puts up barricades for crowd control and closes the streets and parks large dump trucks at major intersections to make sure nobody erroneously drives into the parade route. And all of that costs money. And there's also, the costs of insurance. Like our board has, standard, directors and officers insurance. We have liability insurance for the spectators of the parade. And then we have costs for our merchandise and, certain events come with a cost. So all of those things in a given year, depending on the year, because the parade is always on Halloween. It's always on October 31st. So sometimes, like this year, Halloween falls on a Friday, and there's going to require more crowd control than if the parade happens on a Monday or a Tuesday. So our costs go up when Halloween is on a weekend, and there's more attendees, and there's more spectators, and there's more marchers, and there's more police, and there's more DPW. So a good back of the envelope guesstimate of a parade cost in any given year is somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000. So yes, the city does not, the taxpayer does not foot that bill. We reimburse the city for those costs, but we could not do it without the cooperation and the collaboration with the city partners.
And I heard you say this year's parade is costing a substantial amount more than last year's.
Correct. So in the past, the city has been very generous in that they did not charge us for the Department of Public Works support. And they have been warning us for several years, and not just us, every major event that happens in downtown Portsmouth, like Market Square Day or Children's Day or anything that requires that type of support was, as of a few years ago, it was decided should start paying for that. So they've been preparing us, and this is the first year that we will actually receive an invoice from the Department of Public Works after the parade for their support. They provided us with an estimate, and that's where that figure comes from. So a previous cost of a parade with police detail and insurance and permits and all these other things would, depending on the night of the week, maybe be like $8,000 to $10,000. And now it's more likely in that $20,000 to $25,000 range.
Yikes. All right. And so you mentioned some of the ways that you guys fundraise. Hey, a beer, $1 from that goes. What are the other ways that you guys are raising money for this?
So we start having events in like mid-September. I'm so sorry. Oh,
we started doing a halfway to Halloween.
Yes, we started doing halfway to Halloween, which is usually like the last weekend in April or the first weekend in May, depending on the calendar.
Because we can't wait. and who doesn't like a chance to wear a Halloween costume in different weather?
Yeah, because sometimes it's cold on Halloween, and sometimes maybe you want to wear a skimpy costume, and you can do that in May when you maybe can't do it in October. Yeah. So yes, we throw events. So halfway to Halloween, and we've been fortunate to have some events that have become bedrock, like every year they're fan favorites. So the rock show, which is typically at the press room, is a night where we have 2 or 3 bands and we announce our grand marshal for the upcoming year. We do karaoke at the Daniel Street Tavern. That's become a tradition.
Which I got forbidden from last week. I'm mad at you, D Street. I love you, but I'm mad at you. Wouldn't let me in the door.
We'll talk to Margie.
Ooh.
We can put you. Hey, you know what?
We know people.
You could volunteer next year as a minion, and then you'll be on the list.
Okay, perfect.
I want to know what you were doing that got you not let in. But that's
the bar.
Hey, this is about you guys, not
right about us.
To get in. But we also do the pumpkin smash at the farmers market, which is super fun, family friendly event where the kids come and pick out a pumpkin and pick out a giant mallet or hammer or baseball bat and smash a pumpkin.
Yes, I saw the mayor. I saw a video of the mayor smashing a pumpkin.
Yes.
But you said your insurance cost for this went up because is it very dangerous or something?
Yeah,
I think they just suddenly started realizing what we were doing.
Yeah, we take a lot of safety precautions. We have personal protective equipment available, like goggles and gloves and things like that. And we have many volunteers around the area, making sure nobody slips on pumpkin guts and making sure nobody's swinging wild mallets out of control. We're keeping the smashing on our smash station. We have people sweeping and scooping guts out of the way so nobody slips and trips and falls. So we take a lot of precautions, but yes, in general, it is a scary event to ensure. So that used to be one of our biggest fundraisers. It wouldn't be uncommon to make maybe $2,000 or $3,000 at a pumpkin smash, but now our insurance costs are like $1,800. But we're profitable.
2,000.
We're profitable.
2,000 was a good number.
Yeah.
So to piggyback on what Jonathan's saying, the events that we hold, we're making money at those because we're selling T-shirts and hoodies, because we're selling raffle tickets for baskets that we've put together. Shout out to Melissa, Jonathan's wife. She is our raffle queen, and she does a lot of the picking up of donations, as does Jonathan. But she makes them into these incredibly spooky, beautiful baskets. Sometimes like a little creepy. Like, can I take the basket and not the doll? And she puts together these beautiful baskets again with donations from local businesses, and we sell raffle tickets, and we sell them in such a way that we make it more appealing to spend $20 because we do $1 a ticket or 13 for 10, or we say a wingspan, which is your arms totally spread out, for $20. And we tell people that they can find the largest person near them that is willing to come spread their arms.
And who has a massive wingspan is Bruce Pingree.
Bruce Pingree.
Pingree the Prowler.
So, and then some of the events also have have other ways of funding. So like the rock show is a ticketed event. So we also get the ticket revenue, or like Jonathan said, for the smash, people are paying for the privilege of smashing a pumpkin, and we're getting in a perfect scenario, we're getting these softish pumpkins donated by local farms. And then we've got some great like passive fundraisers that businesses are doing on our behalf. So Grim North Tattoo has done a Halloween tattoo flash day, which has been amazing. Like I got there, it started technically at 11 and I got there just past 11 and I was way too late. People started lining up at 8 a.m. and they just doing that on their own. They make people pay in cash and they bang through as many tattoos as they can. The tattoo artists don't get paid for the day. They're just doing it for the love of the parade. And then they just hand us a big stack of cash and they're like, we love you guys. And same thing at D Street, Daniel Street Tavern. They do a sex toy bingo, actually every month to benefit a charity. But for October, we end up being the charity. So although we brand that a little differently They call it sex toy bingo, but for the purposes of the parade, we call it adult bingo. And we just say that the prizes are a lot better than normal bingo. And we try to kind of walk that line of, it's still a family thing. Let's make it clear that this is not kids bingo.
And also so those passive fundraisers are going to become more and more important now that the cost of the parade has more than doubled, because as a crew of 6 and the events that we do, that used to pay for an old parade, but not a new parade. So this year Loaded Question did a special beer release called Coven's Cauldron, and the proceeds, they shipped that to bars all over town. They had a beer release party, and proceeds from that beer are coming to benefit the parade. Laney and Lou Cafe, they're doing like a special pumpkin turmeric smoothie all month with like $1 from every smoothie coming to the parade. The Envio at the AC Hotel has some spooky cocktails for the whole month of October with $1 from every cocktail sold coming to the parade. So those types of passive fundraisers are going to be super, super important. So like if there was like a call to action outside of like, please volunteer to help the parade. If you are a business that loves the parade, if we help drive business for you on that night, especially if Halloween is on a Tuesday and you'd normally be dead or closed as a restaurant or a bar downtown, and all of a sudden there's thousands of people downtown, and you want to help support us, you can donate a raffle item to one of our baskets. You can do something like what Loaded Question did and, make a special cocktail or make a special menu item and have some proceeds come to the parade.
Yeah. And if you have an idea for an event, reach out and talk to us. Please not in October. Reach out and talk to us in like February, March, April.
That is a very common thing. We get a lot of people reaching out to us when our fundraisers are already like set in stone and they're like, we would love to do a thing. And we're like, great, let's talk next year.
Right. We have our schedule finalized by like September 1st at the latest, is when we've got everything locked in. And a lot of it is locked in before that. Months before that, especially for the perennial events that we do every year. We do Flatbread Community Night. So they'll just tell us which Tuesdays they have available, and the farmers market, same thing. Karaoke, there's just places where we're like, okay, what date are we locking in? And it's pretty straightforward. So new events that people want to do, if they think they need some kind of interaction from us, which they don't have to, they can just do something on their own. But if they want to make it something bigger or have us be involved in some way, then we recommend reaching out early. And often, because sometimes we're not monitoring the email as often in the off season. So also, if you don't hear from us, please just email us again.
Jonathan, as someone who loves the parade so much and it means so much to you, what does it mean to you to see the community so willing to hop aboard and support the funding of this thing?
So we were fortunate enough a week or so ago where the city council invited us to the chambers to read a proclamation naming October 31st, 2025 Halloween Parade Day. And as the mayor was reading the proclamation, I started getting choked up. I'm getting a little choked up, like thinking about it right now, because there was just such a feeling of pride in like the work that we do and how people appreciate it, I guess. The Halloween parade is near and dear to my heart. Like, it's how I met my wife. My wife joined the Thriller dancers during my second to last parade running them. And it was a very dirty dancing kind of a moment. And we fell in love and we got married and we have a 2-year-old baby. And we oftentimes will be in a restaurant this time of year with the Halloween playlist on, and Thriller will come on, and we will joke with each other like, isn't it weird to think that if Michael Jackson hadn't written Thriller, that this baby would not exist?
Wow.
Like that whole like butterfly effect. It's just to see the people show up and march and hear the people cheering, and then to get these great local businesses to support us and appreciate us. It's just very fulfilling. And that's, I think, what keeps me going when I'm very tired at this point in time in the month of October.
That is a heck of a story. We love stories on this podcast. Amanda, do you have any favorite stories from parade nights from parades past?
Ooh. I don't know. I think, honestly, it's just, I used to march in the parade with my daughter and my husband. And I still just remember fondly those days, like when it was just this magical thing that I was like, wow, I can march in a parade. This is amazing. And so, yeah, not a specific moment from later. Now it's almost like the parade is, it's different, because I'm enjoying the parade on a different level. A little like, what's going on? Who's happening? What's doing what? Where are the large groups going? Some years I get to kind of march and enjoy it. Other years I'm kind of pulling my hair out at Pierce Island, like trying to get people in and organized. So I don't know. That wasn't a very clear answer, but I miss walking in the parade. I miss I think back to those early days as a family thing. And I love when I see families in the parade. Like last year, there was this one picture that Sydney Bildo. I'm probably missing a couple letters possibly there, Sydney. Sorry. She's kind of our official photographer, and she took this one picture of this like robot family. And it was like clearly like two adults and a child in these like cardboard box, but like painted and lit up robot family. And I was just like, oh, it just warmed my heart.
This Friday, the 30th annual, anything big, special planned for the 30th that we otherwise normally wouldn't have?
Well, so this year, our Grand Marshal, first of all, is Russ Grazier, the co-founder of the Portsmouth Music and Arts Center and a local cultural icon. So be on the lookout for him and his crew. They are doing something David Bowie-esque without giving too much away. So you definitely want to come out and see that spectacle. The Portsmouth Thrillers, always the only secret that is guarded more tightly than the announcement of the Grand Marshal is what their theme will be in a given year. So definitely come out to see what they've put together. Come out and see the new puppets that the Monster Troupe has spent all year building, because that will be new and fantastic. And then on a somber note, this is the first year. I mean, we've been around a long time. We've been around for 30 years. This is the first year that we've had people that were important to the Halloween parade pass away. So one of the co-founders of the parade we talked about at the top of the podcast, Dino, he passed away this year. One of our Grand Marshals, Tom Coletta, who was a super influential musician in town for many years and also a Grand Marshal, passed away this year. And also one of our benefactors, Mr. Jim Boyd, who during a period of time prior to the formation of the Coven, when there was a ragtag group of one or two people trying to pull this together every year and they hadn't hit their stride with fundraising, this gentleman basically personally financed the parade for like 2 or 3 years, just wrote a check to make sure that it would continue to happen. He passed away this year. So we are going to honor them in a way. So we will have like a memoriam banner of some kind that will be carried in the parade this year, probably towards the front, maybe not in front of the Grand Marshal, maybe right behind the Grand Marshal.
We're still working
TBD,
that part out.
but be on the lookout for that, because we want to honor those that came before us and the work that they did to make the parade what it is.
I do want to say, too, I get a lot of people who ask us, what is the theme of the parade? And to be clear, the parade never has a theme. You can be anything you want in the parade, and please do. But we do give the Grand Marshal a chance to have their own contingent up at the front of the parade. So they often have a theme, something that's special to them. And so they have a whole crew. But just to hit that home, no, there's never a theme for the parade.
Our hashtag is, what are you going to be?
I am going to be walking in the parade, of course. I'll be Charlie Brown, and I'll have little Snoopy with me.
That's fantastic.
I was Lucy 2 years ago with the psychiatry booth.
Oh, yes,
I had the
of
best
course.
time giving advice, which I'm really good at.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for joining. And again, thank you for all that the both of you do. We have one final question. We ask this same final question at the end of every episode every week. And it is brought to you by David Higgins, a Portsmouth resident and investment advisor. As he grows his local business, he is proud to support ours. To work with David directly to level up your investment game, just send him an email at the address you can find in the show notes. Amanda, we'll start with you. If you were to leave this earth tomorrow, what would you want people to remember about you?
That I loved my community. And then I did what I could to keep it spooky and keep it creative and keep it organized in all the ways that I do.
Portsmouth is very spooky, creative, and organized.
Well, and different, not just Portsmouth, but just all of the communities that I'm involved with. Like, that is just really near and dear to my heart, is like my love for community and what I do to help the communities I'm in, to build them up.
Jonathan, if you were to leave this earth tomorrow, what would you want people to remember about you?
I would want people to remember how much I loved everyone. It doesn't matter if you're family, friends. I'm a little naive sometimes. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I love you unconditionally until you prove me otherwise. So I'd want to be remembered as a loving person, a good dad, and somebody who cared deeply, deeply about this Seacoast community that I like to call home, and did my best to keep it the way that made me fall in love with it so that other people could fall in love with it.
And I'm upstaged again.
That's Jonathan Day and Amanda Giles from The Coven. To support them, you can head to the 30th annual Portsmouth Halloween Parade on Friday. And if you see Charlie Brown holding a Snoopy, that's me. Please stop me and say hi. I would love to hear your story. And if you're like me and you enjoy getting together with other cool people on the Seacoast, then we'd love to see you Wednesday, November 12th for Seacoast Stories Dinner Club in Hampton. We have over 60 people signed up already, and we'd love for you to join the party. To secure your seat today, just visit the link in the show notes. Until next Monday, everybody, have a great week. Live free or die.